Hi, Waldo.
Hey, Waldo.
Okay, so last time we talked about cooperative grouping to increase our student engagement.
Yes.
So a couple things I want to share with you and talk with you about this time is we're going to go over this checklist for the chosen strategy and the tool that we've used, which is cooperative learning.
Okay.
So as we're going through this, we're going to talk about each piece of the checklist, and then we can change or modify any piece of it for your class.
Okay.
So we're going to go through each piece and talk about what it is, how we can do it, and if we want to change it or modify it, we can do that.
Perfect.
So the teacher clearly understands the learning structure.
Yes.
Cooperative learning. We got it. Grouping them together. The teacher has created a psychologically safe environment.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of important too.
Yeah.
Okay. We have written expectations for how the students should act, talk, and move while they perform the cooperative learning activity.
I think that's important for my kids.
Right, and I think too, when we go through and model it for them or talk to them about how it's going to go, or even when I come to model it for you, or when we do it together, however you want to do it, we can make kind of like classroom norms together.
Yes.
Like we do for like PLCs and things. So I'm just going to write norms together. So that way when we do it, we know kind of where we're headed with it.
That's perfect.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
All right, the students have learned the expectations, how to talk, walk, talk and walk. Can talk, act, and move during the activity. So again, when we set those norms, we can kind of show them the proper way to do it, and
Model
maybe
it.
not the best way.
Yeah.
Perfect. So I'm going to do, like I said, model it for them so we can kind of co-teach that, act it out for them too.
Okay.
They've learned and used appropriate social skills to ensure they interact positively and effectively during the activity. Again, I think that kind of goes back to norms.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to keep that on the checklist or just
Learn
kind of...
and use appropriate social skills to ensure they interact positively. I mean, I think it's repetitive.
I think so too. So we can nix it.
Okay.
Teachers carefully considered the optimal makeup of each group of students. So we talked about that last time,
Right.
the ability grouping.
Yeah.
I'm going to write in here ability grouping for us, just kind of shorthand it.
Okay.
That way it's a little easier for us to ensure we have all the pieces.
Okay.
Teacher has given students sufficient time for each activity without providing so much time that the learning loses intensity.
Yes.
So I'm going to write in here, what's it called? Attention span.
Yeah.
Or, right? You know what I'm talking about.
Yes.
So, attention.
Like limited time.
Yes.
So they don't lose their attention.
Perfect.
Okay.
The teacher has given students sufficient time for each activity. Oh, that's one we just went over.
Yeah.
Students have additional activities they can do if they finish up their task. Or we can even, I think for this one, instead of an additional activity, since we're doing whole group, I think we could even do like a signal.
Okay.
That way when we know that they're done, like either a thumbs up or putting their hands on their head or something that tells us they're done, so that way we don't lose time in transition.
That's a good idea.
So do you want to leave it as additional activities or do you want to change it to like signals?
We can say signals for early finishers. Or
Okay.
I know.
All right, the teacher has planned additional activities. So if we're going to take out additional activities, do you think we need to have a plan for them if we're just going to?
No.
I love that. Goodbye. Okay. The teacher has planned how to adjust the lesson if the activities take more time. I think that's kind of easy peasy.
Yeah.
The teacher uses effective attention signaling. Perfect. So these two can kind of go together.
Yeah.
And what I'll do is I'll kind of modify this electronically. That way I can send it to you with our changes that we've made on it.
Okay.
So that way it's easier for us to go over, and that way we have it. So that way when we're planning that idea or that lesson, we have it.
Perfect.
Feel good?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, great.
That's good.
So we have the tool. We modified it. Okay. So the next thing I want to talk to you about is kind of how you want me to model it, or do you want to co-teach it, or do you want me to do the lesson with cooperative learning and you watch? What are your thoughts on how I can model it or help you kind of be successful with this tool?
I would like, well, we could co-teach it.
You want to co-teach it? I love that.
Okay.
So we can co-teach it, and that way we can kind of work together, and that way we can kind of tell them.
I mean, we could model it for them, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And we can kind of tell them, like, hey, this is what we have planned. This is what we're going to do. We're going to try a new way to do foundations because we're still working with that phonics speech, which is difficult.
Yeah.
And kind of explain to them, be like, listen, just being upfront with them, like, hey, Miss LeCroy's in here. We're going to both teach together. That way we can try this new activity out. And that way they kind of understand what we're doing.
Yes.
One thing I do want to ask you is if we are co-teaching, which we have decided on doing co-teaching with behavior, do you want to handle behavior? Do you want kind of both of us to do it?
Can we both do it?
Absolutely.
Okay, because I full on agree with the way you handle behavior. And they listen to you because I'm not
It's
with
someone
them.
new, yeah. So I just kind of like to ask about that, and that was something I had watched in another one of those videos that kind of prepped me for our coaching conversation, was just kind of having that conversation to make sure you're comfortable and I'm not kind of stepping on your toes or making sure that we're on the same page.
Yeah, I think we both should handle it. Yeah.
Okay, so we can definitely co-teach, and then I can also, before we do the lesson, I can model it like for you before we do it.
Would be amazing.
Perfect. So doing kind of like a run through of what it will look like before the kids come in. That way we're crystal clear. We don't kind of have any like surprises, or we can go through different instances of what could happen, and like kind of what avenues that we can take.
Perfect. I love that.
And the next thing I want to talk about is setting a time where we can do this lesson together. So setting a time to implement the practice or the strategy that we've chosen.
Okay.
So I was thinking probably sometime next week.
Perfect.
What are your thoughts? What day of the week? What time? Just keep in mind we do have next week, Tuesday off.
We do have next Tuesday off. True.
Election day.
I don't know what your schedule is like. I wouldn't, anytime during that, I can, anytime after lunch, like my normal phonics
Your
time
normal
would be
phonics
great.
time? Perfect, because that's my normal phonics time too. And I have my co-teacher in here, so I'm able to come in that same time that I recorded your lesson is the perfect time.
That
so
would be
we'll
perfect.
do, let's see, that's 11-ish. Okay, and then any certain day of the week?
No, we just need time to do the run through beforehand.
And I think too, since we're off on election day, that would be a good
do
time to run through it, and then we could probably do it Wednesday.
Yep.
Okay, perfect. So Wednesday.
Yep. Which is the 6th, I think.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right? 4
Yeah.
times. Yeah, perfect. And then we'll kind of do our prep, our modeling on Tuesday. Since we have no kids, we have an easy schedule, so that would work nice for us. So we'll do our run through and my modeling of that strategy for you on Tuesday the 5th, and then we'll plan to implement it together in our co-teaching on Wednesday.
Perfect.
At your normal time.
Yeah.
Okay, do you have any questions about the checklist or any of those pieces before we kind of get ready to put in action?
No.
Awesome. I also really like the way that we modified this checklist kind of for us.
I do too.
Okay, so I will go ahead and change the checklist.
Okay.
Is there anything else that you want me to change or modify before I edit it for us?
No. I think it's perfect. It's easy to understand, and I love it.
Awesome, then I think we are set. We have all the things we need. We have our checklist, we modified it, we talked about when to model it.
We have a plan.
We are set and ready to go.
Thank you.
Thank you, Waldo. Appreciate it.
Yeah.